On what's said here, we pray that your Spirit will move upon our hearts, our souls, and our spirits, that we might receive what's said and help us to speak to one another the truth, Father. And we ask your blessing upon our nation, our county, and our city. In Christ's name we pray. Amen.
Yeah, I'm definitely off. I normally have Joseph come up, and I didn't call him up. Thank you for praying, brother. If you don't mind, please salute the flag. And we are going to salute the flag emblem. Wow. We've always had a flag. All right. And we will salute. Please salute. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right. Well, I gave you guys a little bit quick. I'm going to do real quick about who the 1776 Sons of Liberty are. And if you don't mind, this is our mantra here. I've been now the president for just about a year. And I like to read this every time we meet because it reminds people this is who we are. This is what we stand for. We are the Sons of Liberty. We are lovers of God and country, family, community, and faith. We are warriors of liberty and seekers of truth. We are the servants of this great nation and the supreme law of the land. The Constitution is our guide as we fight to restore freedom for every American woman, child, and man. That is what we stand for. That is who the 1776 Sons of Liberty are. And again, I'm going to just say it again. We are a group that was really formed off of the pattern of the John Birch Society. So today, I'm going to turn this over to Patty Cassio. She is the, I believe, Central Director of John Birch Society here for Central California. She's amazing. I had to confess to her today that I think I blocked her number off of my phone because she doesn't send text. She sends paragraphs like books. And then by the time I read them, anyway, I did not block her. But she's awesome and she puts out great information. Please give her your undivided attention. And when she's done, we have some gentlemen here that are going to speak to us on a separate issue. But she will introduce them, and I hope it's entertaining to you. I hope it stirs you up, that we stirred up to be activists for what our Constitution stands for. Patty, it is all yours. Patty, this mic is live, and so just speak right up into it.
All right. Thank you, everyone. Thank you. So the John Birch Society basically was founded in 1958 by Robert Welch. And so they've been exposing state motto is less government, more responsibility of the people, and with God's help, a better world. With membership, it includes the a calendar about freedom, about what the John Birch Society means, what freedom means to you. Different members provided their information to be posted on that. Basically, I'll give you an overview of what the John Birch Society means. And first, is anyone here already a member? If you could raise your hand. Look, about half. Nice, nice. Okay. So if you haven't renewed your membership within the last year, come see me at the end. I'd love to help you renew your membership. Because we want to make sure that you're getting all the information. It includes a monthly bulletin of information and action plans, and it's basically shows you what you can do on a state and national level. For example, inform others about the Federal Reserve, contact your U.S. representatives and senators, why withdraw from the United Nations, and stop a con, the Article 5 Constitutional Convention. They just want to open up our Constitution and change it. And we need to preserve our Constitution and uphold it. And in our membership, we receive a monthly New American. Now, the New American magazine is not censored. We have world-renowned journalists, Alex Newman, Bill Jasper, that write these articles, and they go out and do the field work and the research and put it in writing. All the conspiracies that we've learned since COVID become factual, and they provide history. Somebody doesn't believe you when you tell them about something that you've learned from the John Birch Society. You can show them it's right here. I'm not making this up. And people, believe me, I'm sure I'm not the only one that has come across people that don't believe what's really going on. And this latest edition is the JFK files declassified, and the CIA linked to the JFK murders. So there's information in here that you may not have heard yet. There's also a prior edition that was about the truth of the Vietnam War. We have monthly webinars, and Bill Jasper did a recent webinar of the Viet over there to die as POWs, and we didn't rescue them. There's more stories about that. There's, if you remember, you should get emails about the webinars coming up. You can register for those. Sometimes they're not at a convenient time. If it's like at 5 o'clock for Pacific time, you can register ahead of time, and they will send you the recording if you're not able to attend the live version. But if you are, the speakers like Bill Jasper and Alex Newman and Steve Bonta, and we've got several others, they can answer. You can ask questions live, and they will answer your questions live. So it's great interaction with those experts on a monthly basis. We also have a new member orientation for new members, a webinar monthly. And or I can do a new member orientation with you just about what what we do as far as monthly chapter meetings. We go over the bulletin and the New American, and also quarterly in the New American is the Freedom Index. Has anyone seen the Freedom Index in your magazine, the New American? So quarterly, and what it includes is a scorecard of all the state and federal legislators. How they vote based on the Constitution. So there's a couple of examples in the back. Usually, if they have a low score, there's a D next to their name. If they have a high score, there's usually an R next to their name. But the information's bipartisan. So that information is fact-based, and it can be used during campaigns. If someone is in office that you want out and you want to help support a candidate, you can email those. You can pull them up on your phone, thefreedomindex.org, and you can enter in any congressman's name, any state senator's name, and it will give you their score. You click on their name, their picture, and it'll give you what they've been voting on, what their current score is, and what their overall lifetime score is. So let's say Valadeo, he has a 47%. He has 47% score based on his voting record. And I believe Senator Grove is in the 80s. So she's doing a great job voting based on the Constitution. There's more, that information is priceless because it's nonpartisan, and you can use it to help with campaigns. You can print it, you can email it, you can share it with every single voter. It doesn't matter how they're registered, because it's basically educating the voters to make an educated decision on who they want to in office to uphold their values. Okay. Do I have any questions so far? No. Okay. So with the membership, you also need to read the Blue Book. Is basically how the John Birch Society was developed, or how it came about, and how Robert Welch retired from his candy business and named the society after an American hero. And you've probably seen the videos that that John and Jeff and Adam have shown about the life of John Birch, how he was an American hero, and how the story of how he was killed was suppressed, and his parents were lied to because of infiltration of communists in our country, in our government. He sacrificed. He was a Christian ministry mission country, our military, find the communists and help the Doolittle Raiders after they've bombed Japan and the communists infiltrating into China. He would help them get out safely, and he would help be an intelligence agency for our military. Well, 10 days after the war was officially over, World War II, the communists ended up trapping him and killing him. And then our government lied to his parents. But there's research on this by his nephew, and it's a great story, and it'll get you riled up to, we need basically to engage in, the civic engagement and keep our, Charlie, am I boring you? No, I just want to, we need to, it's our rights and responsibility to keep our elected officials accountable and keep, and communicate with them and tell them how we want them to vote. What I want to show you about what the John Birch Society has done, a recent documentary about the CO2 pipeline. And it is coming across the country. It's a carbon capture pipeline, part of their Green New Deal to make money and ruin our environment. It's not to help our environment. It will ruin our air, our water, our land, and our property rights, and destroy our farms and our food production as well. It's bad. And this document, and you can go to the website. It's standyourground.watch, and you can watch the documentary for free. It's I believe free through May 21st. And you can share it as well. It's very important, and we need to let especially our county board of supervisors, because in California, the Senate back in August approved SB 1992. They approved the carbon sequestration project in California. And I know Senator Grove voted against that, but she was outvoted 31-9. And recently I heard that Kern County approved a carbon sequestration project in Kern County. So it's coming here. And so we need to be aware of it. We need to inform our elected officials to say no, to stop it. It is bad for the country, it's bad for California, and it's bad for the farmers. So I'm going to show that clip real quick, and then I'll introduce the City of Porterville guests. And then if you have any questions, please come see me at the back of the table. I have lots of information back there to meet with you one-on-one if you'd like. One moment.
Pipeline in the world.
I got this weird paperwork in the mail.
They didn't tell us anything. They just dropped this on us, and we're all supposed to let these people in.
Carbon capture and storage is the process of taking carbon dioxide from ethanol plants, compressing it down until it's kind of a thick fog, and then sending that semi-liquid hundreds of miles away.
He said, get the kids in the house. The pipeline has exploded.
Nothing is written federally for safety regulations for a CO2 pipeline.
There's no pipeline this big with this much pressure in the world.
As soon as they start 1 foot of construction of the pipeline, they're grandfathered in and will not have to comply with new safety regulations.
Now that the informational meeting has been held, Summit can start negotiating with landowners in this county.
My grandmother had been deceased for 2 years. She was sued by Summit Carbon Solutions.
Summit served my deceased mother-in-law. Their whole approach has been to intimidate people. He said to us, either you cooperate with us now, or when we get eminent domain, we'll put the pipeline wherever we want on your land.
Our hope is to come in, install the pipeline, restore the land, and give it back to landowners for 100% use.
This pipeline is going to take food out of existence. They have complete 100% control.
They are allowing that easement to be put on that business's balance sheet.
If you so simply want to place a fence post on top of it, you have to get their prior consent and approval.
And become part of their actual financial power to borrow against.
The company says it will try to accommodate requests on where and how deep to put the pipeline.
Dan Lederman with Summit came up to me and he said, I want to tell you one thing, Suzanne. If you plan on putting the depth deeper than 4 feet, we will sue you, we will sue the rest of the commission, and we will sue your county.
We asked them to abide by our ordinance. No.
They've been rude, they've been pushy, they've lied to us.
46,000 new projects have been announced all
linger with residents of the tiny village of Satarsha, Mississippi, from a cold evening in February of 2020, when a pipeline pumping liquefied carbon dioxide ruptured less than a mile outside of town.
It was a tremendous roar.
I can't breathe. I got to get out of here. Get out. Find out what's going on, but get out.
They would soon discover that a deadly threat was billowing out of that rupture toward their vulnerable homes. Rachel Garner lives in Satarsha and was at home when the explosion happened.
It shook the windows. It was so loud.
She thought she might find a car wreck on the highway. There was no wreck.
I saw a big cloud coming down the hill, and so I turned around and my car kind of hesitated. It was like first dark, so it was almost like a glowy type green. And I'm like, what in the world is that?
What Rachel saw was a dense, powdery cloud of carbon dioxide. Upon contact with the air, concentrated CO2 from the pipeline formed a cloud, displacing oxygen and suffocating anyone in its path. And that lethal cloud was flowing downhill, straight into Satarsha.
You cannot breathe. You can't function. Your brain starts to shut down.
Within minutes, people began collapsing in their homes, and vehicles were stalling in the street. Others wandered aimlessly, disoriented from oxygen deprivation.
It was hysteric. People were panicking because we didn't know what to do.
Their cars stopping and they couldn't get out.
Linda Garrett was at home alone and called 911 twice. The local dispatch was attempting to get details about the situation, and they promised to call back.
My daughter was beating on the table. My grandma fell out on the floor and she said, there's something out there, something out there.
They called 911 a third time.
That's when they told us they couldn't help us. They couldn't send nobody in there. And we had to get out the best way we could.
They managed to get themselves to a hospital in Vicksburg, 30 miles away. Satarsha's mayor at the time, Kathy Nesbitt, called her husband Ross, concerned for his safety.
He had just found in a magazine a portable can oxygen that you can put on your face, and that's what he used to escape that night.
My friend, she's laying on the ground and she's shaking. She's kind of throwing out of her mouth. I don't know if she's having a seizure or not.
DeBray Burns was coming home from a fishing trip when he heard the deafening boom and called his mother.
He said, get the kids in the house. I said, why? He said, the pipeline has exploded.
Both of her sons and a nephew passed out in their car. When rescuers found them, they thought it was too late.
They were foaming at the mouth, and he said they had to stack them up on that thing like you would do a shot deer.
Meanwhile, perplexed first responders had blocked the roads into town and were still trying to figure out what was happening.
It was like a zombie apocalypse as you're walking through the town. It was just eerie. My first responders were very resilient as we were going in. When their vehicles would shut down or whatever, we would steal another one that was out there. We were doing what we had to do to get people that were out there. The fire chief in there, Joe Pettis, who had been a contractor for Denbury in the past, he made a phone call to them, and that's when they told him that at about 7:07 they'd had a drop in pressure. So we knew we had a problem that was going to be related to CO2 at that point, 40 minutes after death. Not them contacting us, but us contacting them to find out if there had been a problem.
In a town of 50 people, 45 went to the hospital that night, including 2 first responders.
I was really concerned before we got in line that I was going to lose my friend. I was listening to him on the radio, and one more story that is just pulling people out.
It took 4.5 hours for the pipeline to empty, nearly 22,000 barrels of liquid CO2. The nearest shutoff valve was 9 miles away. The evacuation itself, involving over 200 people from the surrounding area, lasted 20 hours, because by morning, the air in town had cleared, but CO2 levels in people's homes were still dangerously high. Later that day, Satarsha's fire chief discovered that it was normal seasonal flooding that had caused the explosion.
Once that dirt slid and put all that weight on it, it stressed that pot, it just popped it into. It almost looks like you cut that pot with a saw.
Well, no one in Satarsha died, but a lot of them did suffer residual effects from oxygen deprivation. And once they got home after the evacuation order was lifted.
The first thought was, this can happen again. And it did.
Months later, when crews were repairing the damaged pipe, a frozen flange caused yet another that currently exist. Plans are already in place to expand the pipeline across 96,000 miles throughout the United States, all for the sake of meeting the United Nations demands of net zero by 2050. So, with each year, this pipeline is heading closer to a neighborhood near you.
The UN's leading international climate scientists call the latest climate report nothing less than, quote, code red for humanity.
We've got to peak carbon emissions before 2025, says the UN, and then cut them back by at least 43% by the end of 2030. And then we need to take them all the way down to net zero by 2050.
Mainstream media and environmental activists stress the need to reduce atmospheric carbon dioxide in order to save our planet and ourselves. The Green New Deal supports such ideology. This wasn't widely accepted, so elements of it are being slipped into other legislation piece by piece. One of those elements is carbon capture sequestration, where they capture carbon dioxide directly from factory emissions and send it to deep underground storage. And it's funded by you. The 2022 Inflation Reduction Act expanded Section 45Q of the IRS tax code, which incentivizes deployment of carbon capture technology. But just as that bill did nothing to reduce inflation, 45Q is not really a tax credit, it's cash in hand for private corporations who opt for the direct pay loophole.
So, where's all this pipeline going?
536 feet from Grandpa's front door.
So we're all within 1,000 feet of that.
300 to 700 feet of 14 houses in a 12-mile stretch.
It's going to be half a mile from a K through 12 plus daycare school facility. It's going to be a quarter of a mile away from the northernmost residences in the town.
It's almost like they drew a line from town to town to see how close they could get to them.
So as I stated, the pipeline will be less than half a mile from my house. I've spent 35 years in the military. I just recently retired. I spent 3 years at Aberdeen Proving Ground where explosives are so CBRNE, it's chem, bionuclear, radiological, and explosives. And I'm about to go back into that program in July. We are looking at all kinds of things for weapons, including using CO2. So it's considered a weapon of mass destruction in the category at the Pentagon.
So the government knows these pipelines are dangerous, but they're obviously willing to endanger Americans' lives, and here's how they're selling it.
By capturing and storing carbon dioxide from polluting sources, we can make real progress in tackling the climate crisis and in moving toward a clean energy future. And that is where carbon capture and storage, or CCS, comes into play. CCS allows us to capture that CO2 before, and this is the important part, before it is released into the atmosphere. Then we take that carbon and we reliably store it in deep underground geological formations.
Deep underground storage is the latest revamp of carbon capture technology, which has been used for enhanced oil recovery since the early 90s. Enhanced oil recovery is a process which captures carbon emissions from natural or industrial sources and uses the liquefied carbon dioxide for fracking, injecting it into otherwise depleted oil and gas wells to force out more of those natural resources.
One of our commissioners asked 2 different executives from Summit, will this be used for enhanced oil recovery? They both said no, this is going to be sequestered in the ground, it won't be used. And a third Summit exec said, maybe some of it. Why are we going to pump it in the ground in the Bakken oil field in North Dakota? It's taxpayer-funded fracking assistance.
Our government is now propping up the technology to support the narrative of net zero by 2050.
They say our current fossil fuel consumption isn't sustainable, and we must rapidly reduce atmospheric carbon dioxide if we hope to avoid environmental destruction. But Mother Nature isn't cooperating with this narrative. Research is proving that the ice caps are healthy, polar bears are thriving, natural disasters aren't getting any worse, Earth's temperatures aren't skyrocketing. In fact, if you look back at all the environmental predictions over the past decades, which of them have actually come true? But just for argument's sake, let's say Eco-Armageddon could be here by 2050. Is carbon capture the answer? UN bureaucrats say that we'll need to capture between 5 and 10 billion tons of carbon dioxide each year if we're going to avert catastrophe by 2050. However, we're only capable of capturing 40 million tons. But wait, none of the facilities currently operating have ever met their targets. Carbon capture is so ineffective that even Al Gore calls it nonsense, pathetic, and dangerous.
Putting CO2 in a pipeline is for absolutely no one's good except the fat cats who are going to be actually making a profit off of the tax credits, which come out of my pocket, go to Washington, D.C., and then come back and basically is a profit center for individuals who have decided that they're more important than we, the United States citizen.
You're getting the left and the right.
All right, does that give you an idea how great this idea is?
I can add to it. I can add a lot to it. First of all, have they measured the tons of carbon dioxide our crops from the farmlands across this nation sequester?
Exactly. We need the CO2 for our farms to grow food and for our crops and the trees and everything to produce oxygen. So, they want to deplete something that helps everything, our plants grow, our crops grow, and basically they also didn't mention yet, but they also want to use our water aquifers to help process this, and it'll use up our water resources that we don't have. So it's bad all around, but I want to encourage you to go online and pull up standyourground.watch and pull up the documentary, and you can watch it and share it. So I have more information in the back, including, war on farmers, etc. So
Patty, no, and I want to go with this topic. If there are any more questions, please, we want to ask, but I want you to ask them into the mic because we want it to come through the live feed. Okay, we have a question right here.
President Trump canceled money to the Green Deal for all this. He canceled it. So there'll be no more funding in it while he's president, but that don't mean if a Democrat gets reelected that they might take it back up.
Right, so the federal...
And one other point, China, India, and all these countries are putting more pollution in the air than the United States is.
Exactly.
And I remember in L.A., I used to live there in the 60s and 70s. It was like a fog all year round, and we still live.
Yeah, as far as the federal, changes that Trump is doing, we have a Governor Newsom that wants to do, his own thing, and it's, tyrannical, basically. Look what happened to the LA fires. We didn't have the resources or the preparedness, and it was on purpose. And have you heard of the 15-minute cities? They already have plans for LA for 28. It's on the website, and they're preparing for the Olympics. So they cleared it out, and so there's, if you can look at all the 15-minute cities plans, Fresno's one of them.
Okay, Charlie Myers has a question.
Everything they're saying about CO2, the opposite is true.
Right. It's all lies.
Everything. Even climate change is just a word change for global warming. They believe that there's global warming. However, the latest news is there's more ice being created in Antarctica as we speak.
Yeah, it's all about money making, and it's about the United Nations agenda. So they had the Agenda 21, Agenda 2030. Now there's Agenda 2050, and they basically, want to take away our property rights as well, and run our food production for us to be able to be self-sustainable. So we need our governments, our local governments, to stand up and stand up to uphold the Constitution and maintain a local control. And I want to introduce our guests at this time is Ed McCurvey and Josh Flowers from City of Porterville and our Blessings of Liberty. and what they're doing to uphold local control for the people and uphold the Constitution and prevent issues like this from coming to our town and our area. So who wants to speak first? All right, Josh Flowers.
Well, thank you guys for having us over here today. Thank you, Patty, for that. So let me ask you, before we get started, who here knows that we are in a war? Okay, good. About half of us, good. So what is the first rule of being in a war? Anybody can tell me? What's yours?
Knowing when you're in one.
Yes, knowing when you're in a war. That's probably a good idea, right? What kind of war are we in? It's kind of weird, right? Because they got us all, what's that? Information war. And so that's what, the John Burke Society in 1776, I want to thank you all for what you're doing, because you're getting the information out at the local level. And I think that is extremely, extremely important. I want to say this, is that as Blessings of Liberty, what we started off with was, it kicked off during the COVID period. We didn't know what was happening. We just realized our rights were evaporating very quickly. Familiar faces turned angry towards us. And we had this division that occurred across the country. And when I went back and I recited the Pledge of Allegiance, I realized that we were sick. The nation was sick because we were so divided. And so that kicked off a local coalition, and we all started working together and just trying to get awareness. Adam was with us on a couple of those rallies. And we kind of sat back, and I wish I knew about the John Burke Society back then. It would have sped us up quite a bit. But what it did do is that we just formed a think tank, and that think tank was called Blessings of Liberty. And we wanted to wake everybody up. We wanted to tell everybody, hey, they're violating our rights. They're violating the Constitution. You have the Bill of Rights, and you guys are protected. You have civil rights. And what was happening is people just forgot about it because of the fear overtook them. And that's one thing that we cannot have is fear in our society. As Americans, I think that's something that we've always done is we looked it right in the eye and we just marched through it. And that's what I think that this group and what I could see here with 1776 is that you guys are going to restore that and revive the spirit of America. We're coming up on the 250th birthday next year, right? This should be the biggest celebration we do. This should be the next, basically the next rebirth of America for another 250 years. So what I want to do is just let you guys know that freedom is never stolen all at once. It's stolen piece by piece. And what you have to do is, if we're going to go into the information war, and trust me, I'm only 4 years into this. There's a lot of people who have been figuring this out a lot longer than me. But what you do is just go back and you start looking at our civil rights and figure out what has happened. And what you'll learn is that the words all stayed the same, but the meaning and the definition has changed. Well, we all know that, right? So a woman's no longer a woman, a man's no longer a man, but we left the same word there, right? It causes confusion, and that's what it's designed to do. And if you guys like to follow it, I'm writing a civil rights argument. Every week we go to the local newspaper, and I write about civil rights, and I take on different topics. And I'm showing that over time our civil rights has evaporated. And so you guys can go to my website. It's joshflowers.com. Very simple, joshflowers.com. It's a little link tree site. And I put all my articles in there so you guys can read them. And then I also have another article in there that I've been writing. And it's called Rediscovering America's Identity. Because if we're going to fix what's coming, we got to remember who we were. And so we got to go back to those principles. And what I want to talk about today is that the civil rights movement has been hijacked and has been weaponized. Civil rights used to be a shield for our freedom, and now they turned it into a sword. And I could just give you one basic example to get it going, is if we just looked at the civil rights movement of 1964, what happened out of there was a case that was done, and in that case, and you guys could read it on the website, but essentially they changed the language to where it's now called disparate impact. Has anybody heard of that before, disparate impact? Okay, one. That's okay. Disparate impact. If you go to, I work for the state, so I have to learn this stuff all the time. And what you'll learn is that no longer is it about the individual rights. Disparate impact now means equal outcomes. And so you got to be very careful with that. Equal outcomes is not what America was about. We all had the right, we all had the opportunity to make greatness, but we didn't. We weren't guaranteed anything. It was about blood, sweat, tears, sacrifice. You know, you guys we were looking at the that last video, and you guys, we're a bunch of farmers in here, right? We're coming from a farming community. We learned science at a young age. We know we need our trees. We know we need our farmland, and we know that there's a symbiotic relationship between humans and plants. You know how you heat up the world? You cut down your trees and you replace them with solar panels. That's how you do it. But you're going to tell you that you're going to be saving everybody. You're not saving anybody. You're actually making it worse. You're heating things up. So we all know this intuitively, and we got to stand up and fight. And I love what I'm reading here with 1776. We are warriors of liberty. Well, when I'm going into battle, I want to go in battle with warriors. Now, what's great about this is that we're not talking about revolution. That is not what we're talking about. This is a revival. We got to bring back the spirit of our nation. And we do that by knowing that what led us to be here, and it was faith, family, freedom. If we go back to those core principles, we can revive this nation, and we can do it only if we start at the local level. And that's what I'm trying to get to, is that if we go to the local level and we hold our leaders accountable, we can shape the future any way we want. And the way that our mission was established and the way we started was, okay, what's the mission? How are we going to go out and do this? Well, we're the help component of the information war. And we realized good leadership secures blessings of liberty. So we had to go replace the bad leadership with good leadership. Bad leadership are those who follow blindly and have no moral compass. And they don't understand that you can't follow blindly to Sacramento's design, because at the end of the day, we're responsible for ourselves. And it's about individuality, right? It's about our own self-governance. And so what we set out to do is good leadership at the local level. And we got very hyper-focused on just Porterville. We couldn't expand. Everybody wants you to go around and save their community, but you can't really just go help everybody. That's your job in your backyard. I talked to John earlier, and he was telling me that that's what you guys did here. You guys went to your backyard, and you fixed your backyard first. And that's what we did over in Porterville. And we're doing the same thing, and we're going to keep marching it. And what'll be great is we all link arms eventually and come together. And I'm going to let Ed talk about that here in just a minute, and how we link arms, and how do we fix an information war when they stole our language. Think about that. They stole the language, they hijacked it, and now they changed the definition of our words. How are we going to fight that? What battlefield do we go to, and how do we replace it? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to hand this over to the Vice Mayor of Porterville. He is our president of Blessings of Liberty. He has written a book called America on Trial. You can go to his website, Ed McCurvey, McKervy.com. EY.com. And you can see his books in there. He has all articles in there. But he's been our leader, our president of our organization, and he has helped steer the direction. So what we want to do is show you guys what the vision looks like going forward, and that vision is going to include everybody in this room. So thank you all for your time, and if you guys have any questions after, we're happy to answer.
Well, well done, Josh. Well, you've become quite a speaker over the years. You know, we didn't sign up for this thing, but it seems like we've all been called, right, Fernando? And I think that I just want to come up before you today, and it's just a pleasure to be here. We haven't been up here. I met Kimber in January as a newly elected down in, we were getting some training down south. We're going to get to that in a minute. But I wanted to just say it's just wonderful to be around freedom-loving Americans talking about normal, common sense things. And so I want to start today with, and just follow on with the vision of where we'd like to go, but I want to tell a little bit of story about where we've been. So our organization, it's still pretty small, but it's a very tight-knit group. We don't take vacations because we realize we're at war. We really work, every day, all the time, and so it's a lifestyle change, just like we do with our food, right? We want to try to eat better lifestyle. But we do it for our kids. We do it because we love our country, we love our God, and we love to get people engaged in the process of taking back power from the communists that have taken over our cities and our state and our country. And it's great to see as we go through November of this past year, because we were thinking revolution until November. And now we're thinking revival again. Put the guns down, stop counting the ammo. We got a president that's fighting for us, which is great. Now he's done so much in the first 90 days, first 100 days, that every day was like Christmas. It's like he's given us cover fire for everything we need to do locally, but he's not going to change the local government. He's not. We have to change the local. So he's top down, but we got to be bottom up. And so we need to make sure, one of our ideas was that when this thing gets worse, and inevitably may get worse before it gets better, we said it's not going to happen in our town. And so we got together and we started to do some things to just look at the basics. We tried going to city council meetings, and we tried working with the parties, and that didn't go anywhere. We tried to fight the local school boards. We couldn't break in. So we said, all right, well, let's go straight to the people. We started talking to people. We created some groups, and we started talking to people, and we took over our city. So what I want to say is there's this cycle. Every city's on a cycle right now. There's finally, and I believe this to be true, a sentiment of anti-incumbency. And I thought that was going to happen sooner, because I've always been a constitutionalist. I've been reading Alex Newman's books for years. I was called a John Bircher about 10 years ago, and I thought, what the heck is that? They thought it was a slur, and I said, hey, that's actually a pretty good thing. But what we did is we got together and we said, what cycle are we on? We were on cycle 0. That meant that all 5 of our city councilmen were captured. Let's just call them captured. Let's not play the left-right game, because we're now in a world that's right or wrong. It's not left or right anymore. And I think that we said, all right, we got 2 candidates. We found 2 candidates. It took a while, just a few years ago, and we got those 2 candidates elected. Didn't change much. Changed a little. We had a little bit of a foothold in the city council, and so we said, all right, cycle 2, which is last November, we took 3 seats. So we got 5 seats. Now you have the vote. Now we can start doing things, right? Now we can start making sure that the lawlessness that was foisted on us by bad leadership and not enforcing the law and taking care of our city and cleaning up our streets, that's number 1. Fix your roads. Let's get our people together. Let's start restoring the spirit of our city. That is underway. I'm happy to report to you now that in our first 5 months of office, we have made great leaps forward in Porterville, and we're just getting started. We had a great opportunity down in training this year with the newly elected, which was very interesting. It was right after the fire, and there was a lot of new elected leadership down in LA at the training that were not happy about the California League of Cities, because their lobbying efforts, these cities get together, all of our cities, right? There's 300 and some cities that are non-charter cities, and there's about 120 cities that are charter cities. Porterville's a charter city. Article 11 in the state constitution says you can have a charter city, which means you can have your own set of rules. You can have home rule. And it's very important because we're a constitutional city. But you have to have constitutional-minded people in positions of power for that to work. And that's what we're going to talk about tonight. So the lobbying efforts of Cal Cities, it basically captures our city councils. And they wine them and they dine them and they send them things. But every city is giving money to that lobbying effort that lobbies against the cities. So the big idea here is, let's start creating a new alliance of charter cities, constitutional cities, and start doing lawfare against the state the way that they did lawfare against us for the last 20 years, and start taking our freedoms back. Freedom has to be earned. It's never given. It has to be taken. And we have to go take it. And it's up to us to do it. And so my challenge to you guys as you go through these cycles and figure out where your city is, do an assessment, figure out how you get to those 1, 2, or 3 cycles and take your city. Huntington Beach did the same thing. 2 cycles, took over the whole thing. They've been winning against the state. We just created a partnership with Huntington Beach. We had sat with them at the meeting that we had in the South, and they voted on it 2 weeks ago. We're going to start a new alliance of charter cities and start fighting back. Let's get our cities to start giving money to a new league of cities or a alliance of charter cities so that we have the money to do this work. We are not going to win this unless we all pull together as constitutional cities and start pushing from the bottom up. And it's time. The electorate is ready. You know, in our city, we created a group called La Gente, which means we the people in Spanish, because we're 70% Latino population. When I started to run on common sense, the former mayor, the three former mayors, senators, everybody in the deep state that's in Porterville that was all aligned against me, and I went out and talked to the people, and I got 73% of the vote. People don't want it. So when you stand up but you go directly to the people, you can get elected. And that's what we want to encourage other people to do. We want to network with you as we talk about, just look at what the opportunity is, find a candidate that's willing to run, that's being called to run, that has the wherewithal, the morals, and the ethics to run, and then go out there and get them in office and start taking your cities back wherever you are. And then let's keep in touch. After we have this meeting, we're going to have more meetings. We're going to have more meetings until we all get together and get to this dream of lawfare back against our state and start taking the freedom back, because what we're seeing is overreach, overreach, overreach. The CO2, it's overreach. The CO2 that they want to reduce is you. You are carbon-based life forms. This is about taking all of the life out of the world. It is an evil ideology, and it's an ideology that you cannot reason with. We have a philosophy of freedom that is open to humility and change and doing the right thing, but we are up against an ideology that is in love with money and in love with government, and they won't do the right things. You cannot reason with evil. You must defeat it. You must throw it out. So we're on revival. And if you look at history, and I wrote about this in my book, the first great awakening in America was George Washington, growing up in the 1700s, and all the founding fathers. There was an awakening. It was a Christian awakening. That created this country. The second great awakening was the abolitionist movement, which is around the Civil War. That was restoring the union of our country. The third great awakening is right now, and this is a Donald Trump era. And we have to pull together and become awake and get engaged. We can read about stuff, we can talk about stuff, we can go to meetings, but ultimately we are not going to make change unless we get into the positions of power and make the change. Find the people in your areas. And you know what? All it takes is someone with courage. So encourage one another. And remember not to be afraid. There is no fear in love. And I'll walk up to my enemies every time and just say, I love you, I disagree with you, but here's what we need to do to restore our country. And you know what? They'll go away from me and they don't want to talk to me because they know I'm not movable. It's not about a conversation. A lot of the left would tell you, oh, let's have a conversation. That only goes one way, right? That's not a conversation. But if you can find some people you have a conversation with, have it. If you don't, then just walk away. Don't waste your time with people that won't change their mind. They're ideologues. They're progressives. They're captured in their minds. And be very careful once you go down this road, because there are many elements of capture all around us. We think all sorts of things. Let me say it this way. Here's a good way to say it. I'm a Christian, proud of it. I know who I am, and I'm fighting for my kids. And the evil that we are up against will try to play on my good nature, because I want to believe in other people. I want to encourage other people. I want to love my enemies, and they will take advantage of you. Do not let people take advantage of your good nature. The benefit of the doubt, it should never be given to people that have no morals, that have no ethics. So we are on a path to create an alliance of charter cities. We're hoping to make that alliance with every city that will stand with us. And even cities that aren't charter cities, we want to help them become charter cities. You can do it at the ballot box. I know Clovis is working on it, and they're getting close to it. There are other cities around that are also working on this, and we want to be a resource. We have a website put up. We got some resources coming out. Josh, maybe you could tool around and look at some of that. But I want to open this up for some questions. I just wanted to lay out this basic progress that we have made, real progress, not the fake progress of the progressivism. And so let me open it up here.
All right, again, I just want to say, raise your hand. I'll bring the mic to you so that they can hear your question online. And right up to your face.
I'm Charles Meyer. listening to your speech reminds me of a lot of things that I have already heard about. And there are some warriors at the national level that we should get in touch with, have a conversation with, and it's called Judicial Watch. I've been watching some of the things that they've been doing, and they're hauling people into court.
Absolutely.
With our fight. So.
They are the lawfare at the national level, and they're the best at it. I am actually a member. I've been giving them money for 10 years. They're a great organization.
I have too.
Excellent. Great point. Because that's exactly what we're talking about here. Doing the Freedom of Information request, getting the information, going and working through the process. Carrying signs and marching in the streets does nothing.
Judicial Watch, taking these other organizations to court and suing them does more than our Congress has done in the last 10 years.
Amen.
Amen.
Question here. As far as on the Hispanic vote, it's great to let everybody know that 40% of the Hispanics that were Democrats had went over to the Republican Party. The reason for that is that we're tired of having the liberals tell us what to do, entice us with welfare, low-income homes, low-income apartments. Guess what? Let's give you free money. We're tired of that. We're saying, guess what? Somos orgullosos de este país. We're happy of this country, and we will not take that anymore. So now we're saying, guess what? We are the conservatives of this country, and we have opened our eyes for the first time in a long time.
Yes, there is an awakening underway, and it's a patriotic awakening, and it's a family values, faith-oriented awakening. And so let's fix our churches. If you're in a church and it's not going the way you want it to go, get more involved. Don't run away. Embrace the horror of it and fix your church. I got involved in my church years ago, and now I lead a church and a church camp, and we have restored our church. You have to get the churches, and we're trying to build church alliances down in Porterville right now because the faith is at the center of this.
Any other questions for Mr. McCormick or Mr. Flowers? McCurvey, sorry. Hey, I like McCormick.
Hey.
Okay, McCurvey. Sorry.
It's a Mick.
Yep.
I know that they were talking about what kind of war we're at. I'll tell you one thing. We are at a spiritual war. Yes. Okay? Because, when I ran for office, I said, Lord, I've done everything, and my Lord said, I've chosen you to run for this office. At the end, I lost. I said, Lord, what happened? He said, mijo. That's what he calls me. He goes, mijo in Spanish, and I call him dad. And he said, mijo, let me tell you, I'll take you to the cross. People have to vote. But remember this. It wasn't you that just ran. It wasn't just the other people who ran against you. It was the devil himself that planned it, that you don't win. So when we had people who were spiritual, as you're saying, and I really like you guys talk, fantastic, is my God, we have to kneel down as a nation. We have to pray as a nation. For those people that run for office, there are people who are not chosen to run for office. They should support the person that God has chosen. And that's where a lot of people are mistaken. They got two Republicans running against each other. How can you do that? One should drop out and the other support that person.
It's a really important point, and I'll have you know that one of the reasons we went independent and tried to be more independent was because a lot of our organizations, the local organizations that are considered Republican clubs even, their bylaws don't allow them to select the more conservative candidate. They have to promote them all. And so you have a ton of rhinos out there that they support, and so we're killing ourselves. And so we said we don't want to belong to an organization that's going to support the people that are going against us. And it's almost as if you have what in our mindset, right, we have this shift that went from what we thought were Democrats, they've now gone radical left. And there are very few Democrats left at all, but the Democrats that are left are Republicans. There are very few really hardcore Republicans out there, and so you have a lot of rhinos out there, and I know this is unpopular in a lot of circles, but Trump is not a Republican in the original sense of that word. He's new, and he's transforming the party, and we have to get the weak Republicans out, and we got to stop electing weak Republicans. And that's just the honest truth. And you might have to go direct to the people to get that done because the organizations water this stuff down, and that's what we did.
How do we get rid of Valadeo?
Well, those are all good, but I want to say this. The stuff at the top is way out of our control. Until we get voter ID, we don't have a chance. But locally, it's hard to cheat in a local election. You go out to the people and you can get into office and you can change things locally. And while all that stuff is going on, we're down here working and we'll meet in the middle somewhere. But it has to be something that's based on your people are called, right? But you get peace from it. I remember before we started this group, we were upset. We're not upset anymore. Now we're passionate. We remain passionate, but we're getting things done, and so we feel satisfied. We have purpose. We have meaning in our lives. We're not sitting around complaining about things anymore. We're getting things done. And I would implore all of you to think that through, because if you do that, there's a lot of satisfaction that comes through it. And I want to stay over and talk with you guys and answer any more questions that you have and network with you, because this movement is just beginning. We've got a ways to go, and it's akin to 40 years in the desert. Have we already been in the desert for 20 years? I don't know, but we've got some work to do to go and take the promised land back.
Any other questions? Yep, I got.
I just want to make it. So for whatever this is worth, and I've mentioned it to this group before, but if you want to get involved by watching the War Room in the morning and the afternoon, oftentimes we're getting involved with Tom Fitton with Judicial Watch, Mike Davis with Article 3 Project, there's all kinds of apps they have to contact all the congressmen, all the senators. So if you're interested, it's on in the morning, Steve Bannon War Room, and it really is just a wealth of information. And it's an America First agenda. The posse hates referring to us as Republicans, because we're not. We're America First.
Amen.
And that's really important to recognize.
And I think there's a good point here, too. Technology has progressed to the point where we can be decentralized in our information, and we can get tons of information now and be independent. And there's a lot of strength in that, because now we can't be censored. Now we can work together. We have to network together, but there's a wealth of information and networking opportunities, and this is one of them right here with you guys here tonight. So thank you for having us. I want to point out something. This is one of our guys. When we were running for office, cycle 1, cycle 2, we had a hard time getting a treasurer. They're making the political process harder and more expensive. And so if we go grassroots, I want you to know we have put together a treasurer opportunity. We have a treasurer anywhere in the state, and we can help you. So we have resources for you. You find somebody that wants to run and they need someone to take care of the business, we have that. And we want you to know that. And as we grow towards this Charter City Alliance, we'll be coming around and talking to you more, and you'll see us on TV and on the radio more, but we have to come together and network and stay together, because the refreshing part about today is that there is groups like this all over the United States and all over California that are having these conversations regularly now. And now we got to link together. We got to link arms and get some things done. So we have a treasurer, we have some resources, and there's some things at the website about charter cities too.
Question. We have a couple extra minutes. Can you just go a little more into depth of the benefits of a charter city?
Okay, it's very simple. You have the ability to make your own laws. Now you can do that in a regular city. The charter city, you set the bylaws, and then you stick to the bylaws, and it can only be changed by the people. And so if you set a charter city and you make it, constitutional, then if you have someone in office that tries to go against the charter, it's very difficult. But home rule also helps you to stand against the state. Now, there's a couple of examples that I'll give you where we're losing, and this is why this fight is so important, and everyone drives on a road. State of California has said that now everybody that builds a road has to build a road with prevailing wage labor, which makes our roads cost at least 3, sometimes 5 times as much as it would cost if we hired local. They mandate it. And if you're in a small rural community, that labor usually comes from the city, and then the small city pays all that money, and then the money leaves the city and hurts the economy. The city's fought that with lawfare and won a case, but they're still pushing it through. So this is an example of that overreach. And it's not just what they're doing with the schools. It's not just what they're doing with SB 1993 that codifies a stereotype as an identity that's for civil rights, which is nonsense. We have to fight that and remove that, and that's one of our fights, but to help our kids. But the overreach is the issue. As a charter city, we should be able to have the autonomy to do that, and they're starting to overreach so much now that charter cities have less and less power as these last few years have gone by. They're taking over this charter city space, and we have to defend it, and then we have to go out and lead with it, because if we don't have the charter cities, we're sunk. We don't have a way to fight back.
One more question, follow-up question. How many charter cities do we have in California currently? If you
123, I think.
All right, I have 2 questions. There's 2 questions out here.
130? About 1/3. 1 and 3, yeah.
Question. Okay, so if you are a charter city, do you, if like, for example, our voters voted for Measure H, and in with Measure H, there's for building a new police station, and anyway, would we be able to take and do something like that with the tax dollars, but without having to pay prevailing wage?
At this time, no, but that's something that we want to fight for. Because it's our taxes. We have Measure H, we use that too, but when we build, some of the roads we build have to be built with that money, and other roads, if you build out a general fund, you might be able to build with other money. But it's all based on the strings that are attached to how that money is.
But if it's going to take us 2, 3, 4 years to take and come up with the funds to save those funds to do it, would we be able to take and possibly do it without prevailing wage? Because that's the biggest problem that I have.
Let's talk after, because we have some strategies, but it's not going to be easy. Okay. And at this point, none of us are fixing our roads because we can't afford it. Yeah. So
basically, the more charter cities we can get, the more you're going to be able to push back against the state.
Yeah. So let's say we got 50 charter cities to come together and put in $30,000 a year in dues. Do the math. Now you have a legal fund. So this is how we're planning to try to help Huntington Beach, who is going to lead the fight. Their structure is different. We can talk about this, but they have several lawyers on staff. They have their council is an elected official. Their structure is different from most of the cities, and that's how they're able to succeed. So
basically, we just need more money to fight.
We do. And Porterville's talking about setting aside a legal fund in next year's budget so that we can help in the fight too. And I think the people are open to that, and this is the autonomy that you want in your city. And if you're not a charter city and you want to set some rules for charter cities, we'll help you get there. But I believe even if you're not a charter city, you could join us.
Okay. Question.
Oh, I don't have a question. I have a statement about that whether you believe in God, and God is light, and we can't do anything without light. Light creates moisture, it creates trees which create moisture. So and who is God? God is everybody. God is everything out there. God is light. And so if you don't believe in light, what is there?
There's only 2 ways: light or darkness, up or down, good or evil, success or failure, winner or loser. It's a binary system.
So, you can say, well, what is a black hole? Well, a black hole is somewhere where there's no light. Well, where there's no light, that's pure hell.
Amen.
And so, if you want to live in pure hell, you got to believe in God, and God is light.
And have the faith of a mustard seed. Because I'll tell you, looking back, I had no idea I'd be standing before you as an elected official a few years ago. And it's not as hard as you think. You just have to be committed, but I feel like I was called, and things happened, like Fernando talked about in his discussion. Things happened in Porterville that we can't explain. Things came together because you had faithful people focusing on that light and that spirit.
Question.
Where's the Pacific Legal Foundation stand?
I don't know.
Well, they're another organization that was organized to help people that can't afford big lawsuits. So we need to get in contact with them and influence them to help people.
One of the strategies is also with Pacific Legal, America First Legal, those nonprofits, those can help us in this fight too. So I think they're part of the equation, because once we get a League of Cities together that's willing to fight, we can bring them in and they will help us.
I think they're a little wishy-washy, but we need to bring them back solid.
Right. There's one out there, America First Legal is winning right now. They seem to be the prevailing ACLU of this time, and they're the ones that we'll probably want to reach out to. It may not be Pacific Legal.
It's gone. I like the charter cities. I've read a little bit about it before a while back. What is the process? Say our city council wanted to go towards a charter city. What's the process? And the state ain't going to let it happen easily, right?
Oh,
I'm
yeah,
sure.
it's no problem. It's in the Constitution. So you can do
You know, I know it's in the Constitution, but we're going to have to fight this. We'll have to fight against the state, because I read Long Beach, that was a big fight with them. I didn't know about Porterville yet, that they're fighting. I didn't know about that.
We made the news, but we don't have any lawsuits.
Okay.
And, yeah.
Did you guys seek out through the public or just the city council?
It's a public-driven idea because the individuals have standing. The city will not have standing the way they've written the law because they consider it a public good. So the courts are looking at it as if the cities don't have standing as individual cities. And that's an issue, because you need to pull cities together so you have a coalition. Right now, they're just bullying us. But the individuals all have standing. So you can set aside legal funds and work with legal foundations to get standing, to get to the courts and push back.
Okay. Now, I'm sure they will try to pull funding for this, funding for that.
They will threaten, but that's extortion. If they promise money and don't give it, it's extortion. You just have to be willing to fight no matter what that battle is. And it's just creating bylaws, and then you put it out on the ballot, and then your people will vote for it.
One last question. To be able to do this, you have to have a good city manager.
Hallelujah.
Yes.
If you don't have a good city manager, you're in big trouble. I'll tell you that.
Yep.
Because they run the cities, and that's definitely where I would focus a lot of my energy if I were you.
Yes. Well, it looks like we're going to be getting a new one here shortly. All right. I got one more question here. Anybody else with questions? Charlie, I'll be back to you.
What exactly is the website? Can you hear me?
Okay, the website is ourblessingsofliberty.org. I'm going to have some cards out there.
Okay,
It says
thank you.
OUR, ourblessingsofliberty.org. There's a lot of resources out there. We were able to get parental rights in Tulare County. We got parental rights in Porterville. We got women's safe spaces in Porterville. We just put a faith proclamation in Porterville. That's not up on the website yet, but we put faith back in the center of our city.
Okay, question.
I have another comment here. I have an issue that I brought up the last meeting we had here that I'm still pushing, and I got some letters here that describes it. But if we don't take care of the issue I'm trying to work on, all the rest of the stuff we're doing is for nothing.
Voter
because
ID.
you'll all be out hunting and gathering for your own food.
What is it?
Farmers are going bankrupt. Family farmers produce 85 to 90% of America's food. And that supply is being endangered. They're going bankrupt at the rate of several thousand every month across the United States.
Get a hold of your cities. They control the water.
Yeah.
Get a hold of your cities. It's a big part of this program. That's the only thing I could tell you, because they're coming for all of the natural resources, and only the big corporate farmers are winning. And the little guys are getting...
And we all know that water is an issue. Water is an issue on every level of our state. And yes, I believe it needs to start at the cities, the counties, our state needs to go. Any questions?
Charlie, you want to talk about your letter?
No.
Okay.
We heard the letter last week, right? Yeah. Okay. Save it. I've got Josh wants some closing statement. Sure. And we'll take questions.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that was pretty good.
If there's anything else, guys, we're just almost on time. But again, if you have something to say it now. If not, don't leave without gathering the information that you can contact both of these gentlemen and get information that you need. This is a movement that it takes every one of us to accomplish the goal. It won't happen if just 2 or 3 are doing it.
Okay,
All right, Mr. Flowers for statement.
Yeah, just real quick. Thank you for bringing out the idea. This is a spiritual war, and that is the true statement. So this is where we're at. We know that where we have to align our morality, and that's where everything else will flow from. But I'm here to talk to the men in the room. I was talking to Trevor Carey the other day, and he was talking to me that he had this vision, and it came up, and it was called NYDD. I want to share this with you guys. I want to get your thoughts on it. So NYDD is No You Don't Dad. And so I said, okay, you got to explain that to me. What does that mean? No, you don't, Dad. He goes, our men, our fathers need to be the first line of defense for our children, for our wives. And, when this all started, my wife, I said, someone's got to fix this. This is crazy. I was sitting on the couch, and she goes, you need to go do something. And then I realized, here I am talking to you at 8:30 at night on a work day. But this is the point, is that I know you're tired. I know you're tired from everything that you do, but I say fight anyways, right? So when we talk about No You Don't, Dad, just start talking about this and make this your way of life. Start talking to your friends, start talking to your coworkers, and then you'll find a way. Say, how do we make this different? I think this gentleman here was talking about creativity, right? Light is creativity. How do we create a better society? How do we create the society that we want locally? And then now you're in the creation mode. You're not in the destruction mode. And it's going to reinvigorate you. I enjoy talking to Ed every day. You know what I mean? And we're crazy for running around doing what we're doing. But it's a fight. We're in it together. And we're going to change things. And I just want to challenge the men out here. No, you don't, Dad. We don't get to any days off. This is the one thing that you can't punch a card and say, a time card and say, we're not doing it today. We're fighting for our families. So that's my challenge to you. Thank you all for your time today. If you guys have any questions, we'll just be around the room so that way you guys can wrap this up. Thank you.
Sure. All right. All right. Well, we got an earful of stuff we normally hear. But again, we have to be activists. We have to not go home and say, wow, that was such some great input, and then we do nothing about it. We have to become activists to affect every elected official in our city and in our county. And that is the goal of what we want to do. Right now, you've all been handed a raffle ticket. We'd like to raffle off a gift at the end of each of our sessions. And so,
Adam,
yes.
when are the John Birch meetings?
You know what?
Did you ever say exactly?
No. Patty?
I'm sorry.
Question for you.
Yes.
Question was asked is, when are the John Birch meetings and where?
Okay, so.
Local.
So that's what I need to work out is we have a couple, Liz and Nick Wagner, that offered to open up their home monthly, except for May. But in talking with Jeff and John, and if it's okay with Adam, if we can do monthly meetings here.
That's not going to happen.
No, okay.
No, I'm kidding.
It's up to you guys. It's up to you guys. Yeah. So, I mean, you guys have meet every week here. You're used to coming here. It's convenient for everyone. And if we can work it out, if Adam says it's okay, we can go over, the John Birch, chapter meetings here, or we can have it at Liz and Nick Wagner's. So come and see me after the meeting, and I'd love to speak with you and what you would like to do, And we also have webinars. So we could do the webinars here. We could do the webinars at Liz and Nick's home, like the truth about the Vietnam War. So anyways, I'd love to talk with you afterwards, and we'd like to do that. Set up a new chapter leader and secretary that can help run those meetings as well. That would be helpful. So come see me in the back. Thank you.
Yeah, and that is not up to Adam, but we will bring it up to our board to discuss that, to see if we make that a regular thing where one Monday a month we may bring that in, but that would be a board decision from the group. Now, if I can get somebody to draw me a ticket. Man, I don't know. I do want to say that I was the first chapter leader here in Kings County, and we had some great meetings for a long time. It's some great material out there to learn, and it's amazing when you get a group of people together and you begin talking about what our Constitution is, what it really says, and what it was meant to do. It empowers you, because a lot of this stuff that these gentlemen talked about today, and Patty, it'll just fall on the back of your head and you'll feel, I really just can't do anything. But once you know how you have been empowered by the God-given grace of our Constitution, our forefathers that pinned that together for us, for today, it empowers you to accomplish those things. And so I want to encourage every one of you, be involved. Know the more knowledgeable you are about what your rights are, the more you'll get done. Pull it, Kim. All right, and today we've had donated to the group. This is what you're going for. Stars and Stripes, a 3-pillow set, and the lucky winner is...
Okay, the last 4 is 4819.
4819. All right, Brian Goose. I'm not going to say it, but I think I saw Brian messing with the tickets earlier. Can we have a second drawing? No. All right, we're going to close in prayer also. And so if you please bow our heads, and we are going to close in prayer. Again, don't leave today without talking to these gentlemen, Patty. Get the information you need. If you feel that tug on your heart that you need to do more, get it. Get the material. Get involved. It won't happen unless you step up to the plate. You're never going to hit it out of the park unless you step up to the plate. Let's pray. Father, I thank you for who you are. I thank you for all that you do. I thank you that your Holy Spirit fill us and lead us into your truths, that we can truly have the courage to not only stand on what our Constitution says, but to stand up for your word. Stand up for who you are, for who Christ is in our lives. That, Father God, you emboldened us to speak out not just who Jesus is, but the power he's given us through this Constitution, through this nation, that we can bless this world. Father, strengthen us and lead us. We ask all these things in Jesus' name. Amen.